It's hot out there, but what you do need to know is how to be smart about how you're spending your time outside and the heat, because it can be dangerous and in some cases even deadly. We're going to talk about that this morning with Dr. George Molzen from Lovelace Medical Center. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
It is our pleasure. Not too hot out there this morning, thank goodness. Not like yesterday. It was already like 80 degrees at this hour.
Not yet, but boy, it doesn't take long to heat up, and it can sneak up on you.
It does. And you know, you have a lot of kids. They're out of school for the summer. Parents are outside. You get to this point where, okay, you're hot and you're uncomfortable, and then you're getting to heat exhaustion and heat stroke. What is the difference between those two? We hear the words all the time.
Well, there's a spectrum, like a lot of things, where you have mild things like heat cramps, and you start to get symptoms almost like the flu. You start to ache. You just don't feel good. You may start to have a little trouble thinking. Goes on to heat exhaustion, where you really just sweat and your temperature physically rises. Heat stroke, you overwhelm the body's ability to actually cool yourself down. That's dangerous. 10% of people with heat stroke die. Over 1,000 people a year die from heat stroke. So as you start to get the symptoms, you really want to pay attention and start taking steps to keep from getting even hotter.
Okay, so what are those steps? If we start to feel these symptoms, we're outside, it's in the middle of the afternoon, we're hot, and we start to get the cramps, we start to feel maybe a little nauseous, just a little, like it's just we just have trouble thinking. What do we do to get better?
Well, the two keys. First, you need to try and get into a cooler place. If you're outside, shade, anything you can do to get out of the direct sunlight. Even if you can get inside where there's air conditioning, that obviously would be much better.
Sure.
But the other key is plenty of fluids, and if you start to feel bad, you want to take some fluids with some of the salts in it, the brand names Gatorade, some of the electrolyte solutions, because it's easy just to take water, and that doesn't replace the salts, and that gets you into trouble.
So is it actually worse to drink just plain old water in that case?
It is, if
Really?
if you start to get symptomatic. Now, if you're just starting out and you're trying to prevent this, then water's great. So I would say try and drink 12 to 14 ounces of water every day, which is every hour, which is a good sized glass, while you're out there and keeping going.
Yeah.
Then if you start to get more symptoms, though, you probably need a little extra salt. You need to get in the shade. You need to lie down. You need to do anything that will keep you from getting even hotter.
Okay, at what point do we need to say, you know what, I need to go see you in the ER, or I need to go to an emergency clinic or something like that?
If you're with somebody who stops sweating, they're hot, and then all of a sudden they're not making perspiration anymore, that's a classic sign, and that's dangerous. That's somebody who may be ready to seize. If you have somebody who gets confused, they just don't seem to be making sense. Anything that you would think, they call it heat stroke because you tend to have those symptoms almost like having a stroke. So those people, don't wait. Call 911. Get them to a doctor as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I think some people sometimes get this feeling or this stigma, like, I don't want to call 911, I don't want to go to the ER, I was just out in the sun, I just got worn out. But that's totally not the case.
Well, again, remember, 1,000 people a year die, and it can be young people, particularly if you're exercising. Young people that are exercising can get this, and they can be very, very sick.
Doesn't matter how fit, how in shape you are or anything.
It really doesn't. If you're out there exercising a lot, you can get it.
Okay. Dr. George Molzen from Lovelace, thanks for coming in. Great tips out there. I appreciate it. You can find out more about how to prevent heat stroke, heat exhaustion, and all these heat-related injuries. Go to CASA.com, click on the blog.